Hello, everybody! Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the issue that has completely overturned what was supposed to be a celebration of love: the abrupt collapse of Willow and Drew's wedding, the public exposure of betrayal, and Willow's final, heartbreaking decision to leave everything behind. In a town where secrets, accuracy, and loyalty is often tested, this storyline delivers emotional fallout at full force. Let's dive into the moment Willow stood at the center of the room, surrounded by guests and shattered expectations, and chose truth over illusion. The tension leading up to Willow's wedding to Drew Kane had already been simmering. While she maintained a composed exterior, deep inside, Willow was a storm of heartbreak and confusion. Just hours before the ceremony, she had learned the devastating truth. Drew had slept with Nina, the woman who happened to be not only her estranged biological mother, but also the one person whose presence in her life had caused endless emotional strain. Willow had no time to process the betrayal properly. The wedding was happening within the day. Guests were arriving. Everything was set. There was no time to breathe, no time to think, and definitely no time to grieve. But one thing she knew for sure: she would not marry a liar. As the wedding began, the scene was picture perfect on the surface. The venue was filled with flowers. Guests filled the rows. Emotions ran high, many of them unaware of the storm brewing inside the bride's heart. Drew stood at the altar, confident, ready, unaware that his world was about to collapse. Then Willow arrived. Elegant, composed, yet cold in her expression. She walked down the aisle not as a hopeful bride, but as a woman ready to reclaim her dignity. When she reached the altar, the room fell silent in anticipation. Instead of exchanging vows, Willow turned to the guests and made a bold announcement. She told everyone, family, friends, colleagues, that the wedding would not proceed. Her words were clear, calm, and unwavering. She declared that she had come to understand the true nature of Drew Kane, and that she refused to spend the rest of her life with someone who had deceived her, disrespected her, and betrayed her trust. The guests were stunned. Some gasped aloud. Others sat frozen, confused. Drew, caught completely off guard, asked Willow what she was talking about, trying to control the narrative. But Willow was not done. She listed Drew's betrayals, starting with the most painful: his secret sexual relationship with Nina. She explained that he had chosen to keep this hidden, allowing her to build a future based on lies. She told everyone that the Drew she had believed in, the Drew who pretended to be honest, loyal, and morally upright, was a mask. And now that mask had fallen. Her words were deliberate and cutting. She wasn't lashing out in anger, she was delivering truth with finality. She ended her speech by telling Drew, "You never deserved me, and I will never make the mistake of believing in someone like you again." Drew stood frozen, humiliated. He tried to defend himself, to explain that it had been a mistake, a moment of weakness, something from the past. But Willow wasn't interested in hearing excuses. She didn't cry. She didn't plead. She just walked away, leaving behind the man she once thought was her future. Later, away from the guests and the wreckage of the ceremony, Willow sat in silence and finally let herself process the pain. She thought about everything she had lost, not just today, but in the months leading up to this moment. Her relationship with Michael, which had once been filled with stability, love, and a shared dream of raising their children together. Her connection to Wiley and Amelia, the two beautiful souls who brought light into her life. Willow had walked away from Michael, thinking that Drew offered her something new, something sincere, a partner who wouldn't be entangled in family wars, power plays, or old scars. She believed that choosing Drew was a bold move toward independence and a clean slate. But now, in hindsight, she saw clearly. Choosing Drew wasn't liberation. It was a mistake, a misjudgment that cost her everything. She had left a man who truly loved her, Michael, and now had nothing left to show for it but shame, heartbreak, and an empty future. She had traded a home filled with warmth for a relationship based on lies. And now there was nothing left to hold on to. With clarity and sorrow, Willow made her final decision. She would leave Los Angeles forever. Port Charles had been a town of pain and betrayal, but Los Angeles had been her failed attempt to escape it all. She realized she couldn't stay in a place where everything reminded her of what she had lost. The streets, the familiar faces, the memories, they were all haunted now. She packed her bags quietly. She didn't throw a fit. She didn't announce her departure to everyone. She told only a few those she trusted that she needed to start over somewhere far away, where no one knew her name, where she could rebuild from the ground up. In one last, emotional goodbye, Willow visited Michael. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She didn't try to explain. She simply said, "I understand now. I know what I gave up. I hope you and the kids find the happiness I couldn't give you." Michael said nothing. His silence spoke volumes. Willow kissed Wiley and Amelia goodbye while they slept, the only family she truly had left. Then she got in the car and drove off into the night. Her story in Port Charles and now Los Angeles had ended. Not in flames, not in glory, but in a quiet, final goodbye. She had loved, lost, and learned, and now she needed to heal. As news of her departure spread, the town reacted with a mix of sadness, judgment, and reflection. Carly, though still resentful, respected Willow's choice to walk away. Nina, recovering from her own emotional battles, felt a strange combination of guilt and loss. Drew, isolated and broken, began to face the weight of his actions, though it was far too late to change anything. Willow's exit leaves a void not just for her children and former lovers, but for the emotional center she once held in so many lives. Her journey is a tragic lesson in misplaced trust, impulsive decisions, and the steep price of silence and secrecy. Next, we will delve into the jaw-dropping surprises and emotional upheavals teased for the next 2 weeks in this captivating ABC soap opera. As the drama intensifies in Port Charles, the spotlight shines brightly on the highly anticipated wedding between Willow Tate and Drew Kane, where explosive confrontations are set to erupt right at the altar. Insiders reveal that Curtis Ashford, with his trademark blend of compassion and candor, pulled Willow aside in a hushed pre-ceremony moment to unveil the sordid details of Drew's passionate entanglement with Nina Reeves, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the bride's world. Overwhelmed by rage, Willow stormed into a private confrontation with her mother, Nina, who confessed to the affair amid tears and pleas for understanding, leaving Willow feeling utterly deceived by those closest to her. Yet, in a twist of irony, Willow sidesteps any self-reflection on her own choices, such as her persistent involvement with Drew despite warnings, fueling her determination to proceed with a vengeance. Previews for Monday's episode capture Willow gliding down the aisle in a breathtaking ensemble of flowing chiffon and sparkling embellishments. Her veil framing a face that's the epitome of bridal poise until you notice the icy fury in her gaze, like sharpened blades aimed directly at her groom. This isn't mere nerves, it's a prelude to chaos, where Willow is poised to unleash a verbal torrent at the altar, publicly dismantling Drew's facade before the stunned congregation, perhaps flinging accusations that echo through the ornate church, exposing lies and hypocrisies in a spectacle that rivals the town's most infamous scandals. Inventive additions might include Willow clutching a hidden note from Curtis as her talisman, or even incorporating symbolic elements like wilting roses in her bouquet to foreshadow the doomed union, heightening the scene's poetic tension. Amid this turmoil, hearts go out to young Scout Kane, the innocent flower girl dressed in a frilly pink frock, who could witness the meltdown from her front row seat. Her wide-eyed confusion tugging at viewers' emotions. Must such adult betrayals spill over into the fragile world of children, potentially leaving lasting scars on her trusting spirit. Shifting to the comforting yet chaotic haven of Elizabeth Liz Baldwin's home, the steadfast nurse braces for the arrival of an unforeseen visitor who promises to stir up her daily routine in unexpected ways. Spoilers for the week of July 28th highlight this intriguing development, positioning Liz as a beacon of support amid the wedding's inevitable fallout. Given her role in assisting with the nuptials, perhaps lending a hand with floral arrangements, or offering moral encouragement during fittings, it's a safe bet that her guest is Willow herself. Seeking solace after the altar-side explosion leaves her without a marital home or familial welcome. Imagine Liz, fresh from a long shift at General Hospital in her crisp scrubs, answering a late-night knock to find Willow on her doorstep, disheveled in a muddied wedding dress, carrying a small overnight bag stuffed with essentials like a change of clothes and a cherished photo of her children. The Quartermain and Corinthos clans, embroiled in their own loyalties and grudges, would hardly roll out the red carpet for Willow, making Liz's modest abode with its cozy living room adorned with handmade quilts and the aroma of herbal tea a perfect temporary refuge. New elements could weave in Liz, drawing from her own history of romantic heartaches, sharing late-night conversations over warm cocoa where she imparts wisdom on resilience, or even involving her sons in welcoming gestures like preparing a guest room with fresh linens and favorite snacks, transforming the intrusion into an opportunity for healing bonds. This setup not only underscores Liz's nurturing nature, but also sets the stage for deeper explorations of friendship and forgiveness in the face of Port Charles' relentless drama. Meanwhile, the enigmatic Jason Morgan grapples with a mind-bending mystery that defies logic, prompting him to seek answers from Liesl Obrecht about a ghostly sighting of the presumably deceased Britt Westburn. Still shaken from his airport encounter, Jason confides in Carly Spencer during a tense, dimly lit meeting at her Metro court office, where she gently reminds him of Britt's tragic passing, her words laced with empathy for his evident distress. Despite this reality check, Jason can't shake the vivid image of Britt or someone eerily identical hurrying through the bustling terminal, her familiar silhouette and hurried gait etching themselves into his memory like a persistent echo, drawing parallels to his own improbable resurrection and that of Sonny Corinthos, who both cheated death in dramatic fashion. Jason's logical mind races with possibilities. Could advanced medical tech or a Casadini conspiracy be at play, resurrecting figures from the grave? This obsession drives him to hunt down Liesl, Britt's formidable mother, in a clandestine rendezvous perhaps at a foggy waterfront bench or the shadowy corridors of General Hospital's research wing. There, Jason lays out his observations with his characteristic intensity, describing details like the woman's distinctive jewelry or a fleeting glance that mirrored Britt's piercing eyes, pressing Liesl for any insider knowledge or hidden family secrets. The anticipation builds around Liesl's response. Will her face betray shock, her sharp features twisting in genuine surprise, or does she harbor clues to this resurrection riddle, perhaps tied to experimental procedures from her checkered scientific past? Invented twists might introduce Jason presenting a blurry photo snapped on his phone, sparking Liesl's intrigue and leading to a tentative alliance where they pore over old medical files under the cover of night, blending Jason's tactical expertise with Liesl's unorthodox genius. Next, we will dive into the escalating drama surrounding Michael Corinthos and his complicated history with Willow Tate, especially as secrets about Drew Kane's betrayal come to light. In the bustling world of Port Charles, where alliances shift like shadows in the Quartermain mansion, Michael Corinthos finds himself on the brink of a moment he's long anticipated. Sources close to the storyline reveal that Michael might struggle to hold back from uttering those fateful words to Willow. "I told you so." This tension boils over as Michael learns of the shocking affair between Nina Reeves and Drew Kane, the very man Willow once hailed as her savior. Far from being caught off guard, Michael feels a grim sense of vindication, having repeatedly cautioned Willow about Drew's true nature, a charismatic facade hiding a web of deceit. Imagine the scene unfolding in the elegant confines of the Metro Court, where Michael, with his sharp business acumen inherited from the Corinthos legacy, pieces together the puzzle. He recalls the countless late-night conversations where he laid bare Drew's manipulative tendencies, only for Willow to brush them aside in favor of her idealized view of him. Now, with the affair exposed, Willow is forced to confront the fragility of her foundation with Drew, realizing that Michael's warnings weren't born of jealousy, but of genuine insight into past deceptions that have scarred their family. Delving deeper into this tangled narrative, one can't overlook the pivotal incident from Willow's ill-fated trip to Germany, a chapter Michael has revisited in his mind like a recurring nightmare. Back then, as Michael recovered in a high-security burn unit after a harrowing accident perhaps tied to one of Sonny Corinthos' shadowy dealings, Willow arrived full of hope. only to be turned away by a receptionist who claimed Michael refused visitors. Unbeknownst to her at the time, Drew had orchestrated this cruel barrier, bribing the clinic staff with funds from his Quartermain enterprises to ensure Willow's isolation. Michael, upon discovering this, confronted Willow with the truth, but she accused him of fabricating the entire story to sabotage her budding connection with Drew. This betrayal stung deeply, especially since Michael's recovery involved not just physical healing but emotional turmoil, wondering if Willow's loyalty had already shifted. Adding a fresh layer to this saga, insiders speculate that Drew's interference might have extended to tampering with medical records, delaying Michael's discharge and prolonging his suffering to keep Willow under his influence. Now, with the affair's revelation, Willow must grapple with the reality that Michael's account was accurate, prompting her to question other truths Drew fed her, like whispers of Michael's supposed disinterest in their shared future. The manipulation didn't stop at international borders. It seeped into the heart of their family dynamics, particularly concerning their young son, Wiley Corinthos. Michael had sounded the alarm about Drew's cunning tactics ahead of a heated custody battle that played out in the stark Port Charles courtroom, where emotions ran as high as the stakes. In a calculated move, Drew positioned himself so that little Wiley could overhear a devastating conversation with Rick Lansing, the slick attorney with his own axes to grind. Drew insinuated that Michael had abandoned Wiley and his sister Emilio for a new baby, planting seeds of doubt in the child's innocent mind. Picture Wiley's wide-eyed confusion as he tugged at Michael's sleeve, repeating those hurtful words, igniting a firestorm of rage in Michael. This wasn't just a low blow, it was a strategic ploy to portray Michael as an unfit parent, drawing from Drew's military background in psychological warfare. Michael, channeling his Corinthos resilience, presented Willow with an ultimatum: sever ties with Drew for a peaceful co-parenting arrangement, or risk losing the children entirely in a brutal legal fight. Yet Willow, blinded by her affection for Drew, sided with him, defending his actions as misunderstandings rather than malice. Inventing a new wrinkle, perhaps Drew even staged a fake family outing to further alienate Wiley from Michael, complete with staged photos that Willow later used as evidence of harmony exposed as part of the illusion. As the wedding bells for Willow and Drew loom uncertainly over Port Charles like storm clouds gathering above the harbor, speculation swirls about whether the ceremony will proceed amid this scandal. Our spoilers indicate that Michael is bound to catch wind of the explosive confrontation between Nina and Willow, perhaps through a leaked voicemail or an overheard argument at Crimson Magazine's offices. Nina, ever the dramatic force with her history of explosive revelations, might inadvertently tip off Michael while venting about her own shattered trust. When that happens, will Michael extend an olive branch of empathy, drawing from his own experiences of heartbreak in relationships? Or will he seize the opportunity to remind Willow of his ignored prophecies? This crossroads could redefine their fractured bond, especially since Michael's core grievance revolves around Drew's toxic presence. However, the plot thickens with emerging suspicions from Nina that Willow may have crossed unforgivable lines, including the alleged kidnapping of baby Daisy, an innocent child caught in the crossfire of Corinthos' family feuds. Shifting focus to the custody conundrum, Michael's stance has been clear and unyielding. Eliminate Drew from the equation, and Willow could reclaim meaningful time with Wiley and Amelia. This condition stems from Michael's protective instincts, honed by years of navigating the dangers of his father's underworld connections, where threats lurk in every corner. Yet a wildcard emerges with Sasha Corbin's abrupt departure from Port Charles, driven by paranoia that shadowy figures aiming at Sonny Corinthos might target her daughter, Daisy. In a desperate bid for safety, Sasha fled, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. Willow, in a moment of panic-fueled emotion, reportedly rushed to Michael, begging for access to their children amid her crumbling world. Spoilers tease a poignant scene where Willow, tears streaming down her face in the dimly lit Quartermain living room, makes an impassioned plea if she calls off the wedding. To add invented depth, perhaps Willow reveals a hidden journal entry confessing her doubts about Drew, which Michael stumbles upon, softening his resolve slightly. With the visitation hearing postponed to October, allowing time for tempers to cool like autumn leaves falling in the park, Michael might reconsider his hardline approach. If Willow assures him that her romance with Drew is his story, maybe even providing proof like deleted messages or a public breakup announcement, could feel secure enough to grant supervised visits. We're not talking full shared custody, given Michael's distrust rooted in past betrayals, but perhaps structured outings a few times weekly, such as picnics at Kelly's diner or storytime sessions at the library. This gesture would echo Michael's underlying compassion, reminiscent of how he once forgave family members like Carly for their missteps. However, a storm brews if Michael uncovers Willow's alleged role in Daisy's disappearance, ransoming the baby from her crib under the cover of night and manipulating Sasha into doubting her own sanity. Drawing from soap opera tropes, this could involve Willow disguising herself in a hooded cloak, spiriting Daisy away to a secluded cabin, all while gaslighting Sasha with anonymous notes suggesting she was an unfit mother. If exposed, Willow's woes would eclipse her romantic scandals, potentially leading to legal repercussions and Michael's full custody victory, forever altering the Port Charles landscape. In wrapping up this intricate web of intrigue, ABC General Hospital continues to deliver twists that keep fans on the edge of their seats, blending heartfelt family drama with high-stakes betrayals. Stay tuned for more updates as these storylines unfold. Who knows what other secrets might surface in the coming episodes.